Now, NHS Lothian has tonight issued a statement saying it's disappointed after recent anti-abortion campaigning outside an Edinburgh sexual health clinic. It comes after pro-life messages were projected onto the walls of the Chalmers Centre. Our reporter Hope Webb has the story.
Well, who made these projections? Well, of course, the Scottish Family Party did. You'll have seen our projector in action before. Our outdoor projector is for precisely this purpose, to get attention to our message, media publicity in particular. So with our pro-life message, where do we take that? We've already projected it onto the Parliament. Didn't really get any media attention for that, but this time we did, projecting onto the abortion clinic in Edinburgh. So what messages did we put there? Unborn lives matter. Obviously that's taking the Black Lives Matter thing. The thing with Black Lives Matter, one of the problems with that slogan, is I look around Scotland and I think, well, does anyone actually disagree with that? I'm not sure I've met them. But when it comes to unborn lives matter, is there anyone who disagrees with that? Well, yes, the majority of the population, actually. So I feel it's a very apposite slogan to have shown there. What else did we show? We showed Please Let Me Be Born, pretty straightforward. Who Cares, with a picture of a fetus, sort of computer-generated image. We don't use abortion images. I think there's a place for those. We wouldn't really foist those on people unaware. So yeah, picture of a fetus. Love protects, another one of the slogans. Love begins in the womb. And just an image of tears.
After working hours, these bold statements and images were recently projected onto the side of Edinburgh's Chalmers Sexual Health Clinic. They signalled a ramping up of an ongoing dispute between pro-choice and pro-life protesters in the city. The dispute started when campaigners spoke out against anti-abortion protests taking place here at the clinic. They say it intimidates patients trying to attend appointments. And just last month, a petition was launched calling for a buffer zone to prevent similar demonstrations. Now, the Scottish Family Party, which is standing candidates in the May election, says it's behind the latest projection stunt.
The BBC, of course, immediately linked this to a cause that they do support, and that's the Back Off campaign. The Back Off campaign is basically objecting to the vigils that are held outside abortion clinics, where people stand and pray and offer to help people or invite people to reconsider as they're going in to an abortion. They certainly don't intimidate or harass anyone. They're just there if anyone wants to speak to them. But the Back Off campaign claim that these people are intimidating. I mean, if you see them in action, you couldn't imagine a less intimidating group of people. But they claim to have been traumatised by them. What they really mean is maybe their conscience was pricked by seeing them there. But anyway, the Back Off campaign is completely irrelevant to what we did, because what we did was out of hours. So it was not affecting people going in and out of the Chalmers abortion clinic. So they're presenting this as the next round in this same issue? No, it absolutely isn't. But the BBC just wanted to connect it because it suited their agenda. I mean, they say the Scottish Family Party, claimed responsibility. It's like a report of like a bomb attack and the IRA claiming responsibility. Anyway, the BBC then interviewed someone from SPUC, the Society for the Protection of the Unborn Child.
Standing up in defence of the unborn is something that is important. Ultimately, that was part of the message that the Scottish Family Party was trying to put forward, was putting this message forward in defence of the unborn.
Margaret Akers is from the charity the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children. She doesn't back the action but does support the message.
And again, we cannot condone the sort of political parties or political actions. So in that way, we are distant from it. But at the same time, again, it's important that pro-life people are able to promote the pro-life perspective, and we would defend people's right to do so.
Well, that was a great little interview, wasn't it?
But what is the impact of using this clinic entrance as a message board? Pro-choice campaigner Jane Carnell believes the recent anti-abortion protests are harmful.
Their message is that women aren't entitled to full healthcare. And projecting the message that you have no right to healthcare on the hospital strikes me being grossly offensive. And it doesn't really matter they're doing out of hours.
Women have no right to healthcare. Now, I made the signs that we projected. I don't actually remember making one that said that. I must have forgotten. But the sort of things she's saying there, I mean, it's so easy to knock those arguments down, isn't it? and yet on the BBC they go unchallenged. Right, so on the BBC programme the ratio is currently 2-1. 2 people pro-abortion, 1 person pro-life. So obviously they need to balance things up, don't they, by making it 3-1. So they now bring in the next pro-abortion person. Now note the context here. I won't show the whole clip, but it's just a friendly chat on the bench.
The life of the female who's being
Lindsay was met with pro-life protesters when she attended an appointment at Chalmers sexual health clinic.
I wasn't going for an abortion, but the first thing I thought was, how must that feel to face that if you're, for example, a younger person?
I mean, I've been on the BBC a few times. It's nothing like that. I cannot imagine ever being interviewed by the BBC where it's a friendly chat on a bench. It's just attack from question one, hostility all the way. Not this, tell us what you think. Oh, that's really interesting. Thanks for sharing. That's the tone of that interview.
Tonight, NHS Lothian has spoken out against the recent protests. In a statement, the Health Board said, "We would like to reassure our patients that our high standards of care and support are not affected. We are disappointed at the ongoing campaign, which could have the effect of intimidating staff and patients." Edinburgh Council backed a petition calling for the ban of protesters from within 150 metres of this clinic, but requires the powers of the Scottish Government to introduce it. In the meantime, pro-life campaigners say they will continue to spread their message when and where they are able. Hope Webb, BBC News.
Again, the NHS intimidating. Notice nothing about debate. They won't come and explain why they think unborn children's lives are worthless. None of that. It's just all emotion. It's the way it makes us feel. We feel intimidated. Feel intimidated. This is not an angry, baying mob. This is something projected onto the door. What they mean by intimidating is they mean challenging and appealing to their conscience. Now, when you do appeal to someone's conscience, people can either accept it and change their behaviour, or they'll continue in the behaviour and get angry. And I think that's what we've actually got happening here. Right, that's the BBC's report, more or less. Anything missing? Yeah, obviously, the Scottish Family Party. This is part of our election campaign, and they publicise it, they report it as a news item, but don't contact us at all. They didn't even get in touch, let alone have us on the programme. They will claim that's because they have to be non-political during the election campaign. They can't give new parties a voice. But really? Have we seen Alex Salmond on the BBC? Ever? Well, yeah, maybe once or twice. Now, the last time I was on the 9, that's the BBC programme that this was on, I was just attacked from the very first question. It was just a total hit piece. The absolute opposite end of the spectrum from the park bench, oh, share your thoughts with us type of chat. Now, even after that aggressive hit piece, the last time I was on the 9, apparently the person in the BBC who made the decision to invite me onto the show got a very hard time within the BBC. People said to him, you should not let someone like that onto the BBC to be able to share their opinions. And, well, it looks like those people got their way this time. I have to say, it is rather galling to be forced to pay money to the BBC in order for me to watch Grand Prix on Sky that I pay for separately to Sky. But that's the ridiculous law as it is. We would obviously stop that, and the TV licence wouldn't work in the way that it does now. That's Scottish Family Party policy. There are also reports of this in the press, a similar sort of tone, like a vast majority of the column inches given to opponents. And one of the articles was in the Times. The Times article, in the first and the headline and in the first few lines, it didn't mention that we were a political party. It got around to it eventually. And again, giving much more space to opponents. But a man phoned up, I think he was from Glasgow, said he'd read the report, hadn't heard of the Scottish Family Party, really pleased about what we'd done, and said he was going to vote for us. So that's great. I mean, the big picture here is that we face a hostile media. They'll only report something about the Scottish Family Party when they think they're getting us, when they think they've got some negative story about us. And if it does get reported, if there's a 3-1 ratio of contributors against, then that's probably as good as we're going to get. But as far as we're concerned, we use the media like a Trojan horse. They think they're making a report of how bad the Scottish Family Party is looking, whereas within it is the kernel of truth that gets our message across, and people who agree with it can see it and think, I hadn't heard of them. That's something on my wavelength. So where will we strike next with our outdoor projector? We've got several ideas up our sleeve. So watch this space. Thanks.